Now, the reason I've been taking the console out of this car is there is a common fault on the VAG platform cars with particular DSG gearboxes, where the microswitch, which detects the lever coming out of park, goes open circuit intermittently, and you get an intermittent error on your dash. I'm informed by the supplier of this kit, which is part 5Q0713128A, that it will actually fit the selector that's fitted to my car, and that's what we're going to try and do next. A replacement switch that goes on the top of the selector, and there's a couple of connectors here, and basically what we're going to do is undo the connector that's at the front of the selector, connect it into here, and connect this end into the selector. So basically this little gadget is sitting in between the existing cable and the selector. And there are also 4 metal clips with it, which I'll show you what they do in a minute. So we're going to see if it fits. And you'll need a T20 Torx, because the other thing we need to do is undo that screw fully, because the plate is actually secured in that screw, as well as the 4 clips that we're going to add. So I'm going to start by getting this screw out. And we need to pull this little clip away. Ooh, hang on a sec. Doesn't want to move at the moment, but that clip definitely comes back. It's spring loaded. I'm just going to have to put the phone down for a second, I think, and wrestle it off. I wasn't pulling that clip far enough. It needs to go right to the very top of its position, and then it pulls off perfectly okay. The device is now set in place, and there's a little gadget here which we simply stick on the front of the selector. I think this is a little sticky velcro-y pad thing, and we just stick it to the label apparently. Right, this is where we're up to now. The switch plate has been secured. It's best when you're doing that to put a couple of turns of the Torx screw into the bottom of the plate first before offering it up onto the top of the transmission, or you'll struggle to get the Torx screw into the right place and tightened up. You'll also notice there's a couple of metal clips that I've applied to the wings of the plate, and this just clips over the top of the selector, so it keeps this plate firmly in place at the front as well. Now, there's an adjustment screw here. I say the word adjustment because I'm not entirely sure what it's doing, if I'm honest, because the lever's in park at the moment and it's naturally pressing against the switch, and I've heard the switch operate, so this plate is just free to move, and the only purpose it seems to have is if you wanted to set the switch too far forward, because you can then push it and the switch is no longer in contact. So it's all a bit weird really. I'm not very clear on the design, but all I'm going to do is push the plate forward and secure it with that Torx screw now. And I'll just put the phone down whilst I do that. So that screw's now in place and tightened up, and if I just pull the selector back, you can just hear the click of the microswitch. So a little bit of movement like this, nothing's happening. But when you actually take it away with the button at the top of the selector, you can hear the microswitch clicking in and out. So that would seem to be correctly adjusted. And just as a little confidence check, with the ignition off and the selector in neutral, if I open my door, you can hear there's an alarm on the dashboard in the background. If I move the selector forward, the alarm's gone off. And the final little step is to take the remaining two clips, and those go onto the flat of the plate. So basically it's securing this plate and stopping it moving even if the screw was to be loose. So we're just going to pop one of those on the end like that to lock it in place. And you can see that clip's now fully on there, and we're going to do the same at the other side. So, it looks like we're sorted and ready to put the car back together again. Now, we're just about to start putting things back together, but before we do, we need to look at the amount of space that we've got to play with at the front of this selector. Because obviously your cup holders in the console are going to be round about here, so there's not much space to get the extra gubbins in. So what I've done is I've put the connector on top of the bracket, and if I get a piece of cardboard, you can see that it is just below the level of the fastenings. So I'm pretty comfortable when we get the console back on that that will stay nicely in position and not get in the way. The other thing I'm going to do is just pop a piece of plastic tape all the way around the foam to bring it in, and just tidy things up a little bit and just make my life a bit easier for getting the console back on. You can see here I've got my piece of tape going right the way around the foam, and everything's tucked nicely out the way. There's going to be no cables rubbing through on anything metal, and that's the main concern. And hopefully the console will just pop straight in nicely, and it shouldn't rub on anything because these cables are protected by that bit of foam as well. So let's give it a try. Now, one little tip for getting the console back in. I found it's a little bit easier if you just undo with a 10mm nut spinner the top plastic nut of the footrest and get that out of the way. It just makes things a little bit easier. I've also had to jiggle about with my auto selector backwards and forwards just to get everything in position, but I think we're getting there now. So we're nearly there. I've fished my cable through as well that needs to go onto the back of the selector plate, and we're clear. We're just going to move the passenger seat forward again. As before, I'm going to pop a little bit of cardboard just next to the seatbelt buckle, just to protect things as we push the console down. And I think that's us pretty much there now. It should just be a case of putting everything back together and putting the screws back in and what have you. It's always been a little bit of a puzzle why nobody says this kit will fit the Fabia. And I think the short answer to that is because it doesn't, as I found out when I tried to push the gaiter plate down. The underside of the plate fouls on the shoulder, the right hand shoulder of that switch. Now I've got a power file, which is one of these things, and what I've done is taped everything up, sealed it up completely, and then what I've done is just sanded a line across the edge of the switch without significantly weakening it or anything like that. It's still got most of the plastic there, but you need to be able to get it down about 5mm. And what I'm going to do now is I'll just take all this tape off and vacuum up, and then I'll do a couple of stills so you can see what was actually done close up.